ProWritingAid is one of the best grammar and spelling checkers on the web right now, but is it worth the actual cost? In this video, I'm going to walk you through every single aspect of ProWritingAid and answer that question, is it worth purchasing? I'm coming at this from a writer's perspective, especially a writer that works in a lot of long form content like a novel, although ProWritingAid can work for online articles, SEO, academic essays, and other things like that. I even use it a lot for emails and other short form bits of content like that, so it's a very useful program all around, but let's go and dive deep. First, let's talk about the pricing. There is, in fact, a free version of ProWritingAid, and this is what it gives you. First of all, you can only have up to a 500 word count limit. So if you're doing longer form content like a full article or a chapter of a novel or something like that, where you're getting into the 2,000-3,000 words range or longer, then this will not be sufficient for you. Also in the free plan, you get 10 rephrases per day. This is an AI feature that allows you to rephrase certain pieces of your text. You get 3 AI sparks per day, which is another AI feature that I will dig into a little bit later. You get a couple of different reports through ProWritingAid. I'll walk you through all of these reports, but you get the spelling report, grammar, and punctuation. You'll also get the Word Explorer and the Thesaurus. There are a bunch of different document types that you can look at. So depending on what you are writing, the actual grammar and spelling that you use might differ. So it's important to identify what type of writing you are doing before going through and editing your book or your manuscript or what have you. And that's one thing that you can get inside of the free plan, is this document type. And then of course you get the 100% data and security and privacy that you get on all of these plans, but you don't get anything else beyond that. And so the premium gives you everything that's in the free version. You get unlimited word count, so you can go, however long your document is. Unlimited rephrases, so that's a nice thing. You get 5 AI sparks per day instead of 3, which if you ask me is maybe not enough. Like that's only an increase of 2. And you get 50 on the plan right above that. So if I were them, I would up this to maybe 10 or so. But regardless, you do have access to that. There are advanced style improvements, a custom style guide, snippets, which allows you to, if you have, say, a boilerplate or some type of phrasing, paragraphs that you write consistently and you have to copy and paste. Say you're a journalist and you have a boilerplate that you put at the end about who you are and all of that. That's the sort of thing you can put in a snippet and you can reuse it as necessary. It's the sort of thing that I might use in a writing tool. I don't necessarily use it a lot in an editing tool like this. And then you have access to 25 plus writing analysis reports. And this is the real meat of what ProWritingAid is able to do. On the free version, you just get access to a few of these like grammar and spelling. But with the premium version, you get 25 plus. And these are really powerful reports, and I'll walk through some of those in just a second. You also get to customize some of these reports. So some of them you might want to change exactly how it looks at it. And those are some of the customizations you can make. For instance, like it says here, you can ask it to ignore cliches and diction. You can set the frequency for repetitive words. Like if you're using a repetitive word a lot, you can say, okay, that's fine, but I actually want to use that word a little bit more frequently. So you can set the frequency and stuff like that. That's important. If you have terms and ways of speaking that you like to use, you can update your terminology management here. You can also compare your writing to up to 90 different fiction authors, which is a useful feature as well. If you have an academic resource and you're citing a lot of things inside of your document, you can have a citation checker to make sure that your citations are done accurately according to the citation type that you're using. There's collaboration. So if you want to share your document with someone else, say another editor, to take a look at your document, you can do that. You get unlimited document storage and 1 critique per day. And this is another AI feature where it will actually critique a chapter for you using AI, and you get 1 of those per day with the premium version. And then you get the Premium Pro, which is just like the premium version, except you get 50 AI sparks per day and 3 critiques per day. And that's really the only difference. So there's not much to it. Now let's talk about the different plans. So we got these 3 plans, and if you bill this monthly, you will have to pay either $30 or $36 for the premium or the Premium Pro plan. The Premium Pro plan is obviously not a whole lot more than the premium plan, but $30 or $36 a month does add up quite a bit. And so there's also the yearly option, which is significantly less if you look at it from a per month basis, because it goes from $30 to, $10 or $36 to $12 for the Premium Pro. That's if you bill it yearly. So definitely the best value here is to get the Premium Pro at $144, because it's only $2 per month more or $24 more per year to get the Premium Pro here. And this is definitely going to be an attractive option for a lot of people, especially if you are not sure if you want to keep ProWritingAid indefinitely and you only want to go for a year or so, then this might be a good option for you. However, if you know you like ProWritingAid and you know it's something you're going to be using heavily, then you might want to look at the lifetime option. I like to get into lifetime options whenever I can, because a lifetime option means I don't have expenses piling on me over time. Authors have to use a lot of different tools, and it's really nice to be able to just say, I'm going to buy this once and then I never have to worry about it again. And I don't have piling subscriptions getting higher and higher and higher. I do have some subscriptions, don't get me wrong, but if I can get that lifetime guarantee, like that's a huge load off my shoulders and bringing my month to month costs down quite a bit. So the premium option for ProWritingAid is $400, which, it's all the same stuff. The Premium Pro is $700, which seems like a lot to me. The discrepancy between these two models here is a lot higher than for the yearly, for example, where it's only $2 per month more or $24 per year more to get the Premium Pro. Whereas this is $300 more than the premium version. So I don't know what's up with that discrepancy. And the problem here is if you think you might want the Premium Pro version in the future and you buy the premium version, well, then you're just going to have to pay again to get this upgrade here. I don't think that there's a way, maybe if you email them directly and ask, you might be able to upgrade for just the $300 difference between the two. I don't know if that's really an option. So if you really want to go all in, then go with the Premium Pro option. But honestly, most of the features that you will need are going to be at the premium level. It's only if you want some of these AI features to have more access to those AI features that you would want to upgrade to the Premium Pro option. So that's me personally. I like lifetime options, so I would personally go for one of these lifetime options. I understand that people might not be able to afford these at a given time, so you might start at a monthly or yearly, and then if you really like what you get at the monthly or yearly, then you can start saving up and try to get that lifetime option. But let's actually go into ProWritingAid and see what it looks like. So there are multiple ways to interact with ProWritingAid. First of all, you can go into ProWritingAid itself, into their cloud version, and interact with it here. So I have two documents that I've pulled into ProWritingAid here. I have my Heirs of Dracula novel, and I have my 10,000 words an hour book, which is only accessible to my members at this time, but it's my book about how to write with AI. And inside of here, you can go through each of the chapters and it will underline certain things that it wants you to take a look at. And these are color coded. So there are at least 4 colors that I know of. There may be more, but there's your red, which is the standard spelling. Usually if you have a spelling mistake, that's going to be highlighted in red. Blue is highlighting grammar issues. Then there's yellow, which is a more stylistic suggestion on how to improve the actual quality of the sentence. And then you have purple, which is for passive voice and for other similar style issues. Another thing I would like to point out is that ProWritingAid does have a plagiarism feature where you can search and see if anything from your article or your novel is plagiarized. You can get there by going here to more reports and then plagiarism, but you'll notice over here it says no credits remaining. And that's because plagiarism is priced differently than the rest of the tool. You have to actually purchase credits in order to do the plagiarism checker. I'm not really sure the mechanics of how plagiarism works and what that costs ProWritingAid on their end, but I assume it's high enough that it can't really be included in the lifetime bill of ProWritingAid. You have to actually buy additional credits for that. So the credits look something like this. You can get 10 checks for $10, 40 checks or 100 checks for $40, 500 for 120, and 1,000 checks for $200. So let's go through some of these reports. And I'm not going to go through all of these because there are a lot of them. There's over 25 of them, but some of these can be actually really useful for you. First of all, if you want to see a summary of all of them, you can come here to this button that says summary, and it will show you all of the different reports and how well you're doing, and it'll categorize them based on which ones need work and which ones are actually pretty good. So you can see I've got quite a few here that are doing really well. The readability is good, the sentence variety is good, but I do have some things like my grammar score could be improved, style score, glue index. I'll talk about glue index here. We'll show off that one. Weak adverbs and things like that. So there's definitely stuff I could improve here. based on that. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can continue to scroll down and get some more in-depth suggestions about what is wrong with each of these things. But let's say we want to improve one of these. So for this report, we're going to come over here and hit this button that says sticky sentences. And it comes over here and says there are 2 sticky sentences found. And if you're wondering like, what the heck are sticky sentences? You can come here and it says identify sentences with 40% or more glue words that slow your reader down. Glue words are the top 200 most common words in English. And then if you want to know more about like what the heck is a glue word, come here to say read more and you learn about what sticky sentences are. And just for information, glue words are basically words that are frequently used in the English language, but don't actually have a whole lot of meaning in of themselves, but they are words stuck into a language to help the flow of a sentence. But if you have too many of them, it makes the sentence sound, well, sticky and gluey. And there are more efficient ways to actually phrase that sentence so that there are fewer glue words, and it just makes the sentence sound better overall. So here, now that I've clicked on that report, it's showing me all of those sentences, as you can see here. So let's look at this first one. Sentences that somehow by utilizing this incredible technology, you're taking the easy way out and not doing the work required to be an author. Okay, so we can ask for rephrase suggestions because there are 13 of the 24 words are glue. That's 54%. That's probably too much. It shows me what some of those glue words are: that, by, this, the, way, out, etc. So let's go ahead and ask for suggestions. And what we want to do is make sure we find one that is similar enough to the meaning of the original sentence. So one like this one: by using this technology, you're not putting in the required effort to be an author. And I think that's good. I would probably just add one more glue word here, but it's shorter, it's more succinct, it's great. And then you can continue doing that for all of the other examples of glue words in this chapter. Now, what if we want to look at just basic grammar? Okay, so we can come over here to the grammar report and it does the same thing. So in this case, there's only 6 issues found. And by the way, over here on the left, you can come and press this button right here, which will just go to the next item. And we have, oh, yep, this is a split infinitive. So we want to be careful with those and not have too many of those. So I can ask it for suggested rephrases. And yep, I like this one. And that gets rid of the issue while completely rephrasing the sentence and making it better. Here's another grammar issue where I've got the sentence: most AI models, while not perfect and well read in a lot of model literature, has a strong understanding. And because my subject here was plural AI models, it's giving me the suggestion have. And so now I've corrected that grammatical mistake. And you can just continue on here improving things. You do want to take a look at them and not just accept every single suggestion that it gives you, because sometimes it's going to be a style issue and you like the way you say it better the first time. But in general, it does a pretty good job of identifying all of your grammatical and spelling mistakes. Now, I've been working with a nonfiction book here. So what if we wanted to actually look at a fiction book? We can come here to my Heirs of Dracula book. And this one I've done a little differently. I've got the entire document here in one single document. And one of the cool features you could do here is go over here and click on real time, and it will start to scan through this document. And as it's scanning through, it's picking up all of the different things that I need to work on. And here's one criticism that I have of ProWritingAid is that if I bring up this real time stats, every time I pull it up, it has to redo it. And it can take a while for it to scan through the whole document. I think it would be cool if it could just do it once and then stay that way. I don't know what's holding it back from being able to do that, to just keep that report until I change something, and then when I change something, it's able to react to that. But it is nice to see everything here in one spot on the side here, so I can go to any one of these scores and work on improving that particular thing in my book. Another thing that we want to do here is, you'll notice I have this selected as general nonfiction, and you can also access this under the settings, but you can select your language. So if you're general English, British English, US English, etc. for nonfiction. And then here we have this one area called document type. And this is the same as this dropdown you see over here. You can come over here and select what type of book this is. So I would just select maybe fantasy for this, or historical fiction. And it kind of changes what we get here in the real-time section, because some of the stylistic choices you're going to be making that work for fantasy wouldn't necessarily work for general nonfiction. And so we've got to redo all of these analyses because of the type of document that we're doing here. But there's also other things here. So under creative is where I get most of the things that I'm working on, but you can also get casual, like a dating profile, speech, web things like general web copy, long web articles, short web articles. You can have a film script. You've got technical writing, you got business and academic writing, and then just general right here. So this is really useful. You do want to make sure you have the right thing selected anytime that you are working on a particular document. That's another small issue that I have with ProWritingAid, is that it seems to only allow me to select one at a time. I think it would be better if I could have one for that document, and then when I move on to a different document, it's a different document type. As far as I can tell, if I select fantasy here and then I go back to my nonfiction book here, yeah, it's still selected as fantasy right here, and so I'd have to switch this to general nonfiction. So that's a small issue that I have, but it's not a huge deal. But going back to our reports here, in fiction, we can get a couple of reports that you don't get with anything else. For instance, dialogue, we can check the writing of our dialogue tags and things like that. So I'll go ahead and enable that. And here on the left, we got 258 dialogue tags found, 15 possible dialogue tag tense issues. So that might be something that, hey, let's go ahead and check one of these and see what the next one is. And it looks like this one here isn't actually an issue, so I can just ignore this one and move on to the next one. But then we have this one right here, 149 unusual dialogue tags found. And that's because the best dialogue tags are just said and asked, and rarely do you want to do too much beyond that. And so you could look at some of these and say, yeah, urge isn't really a good one that I want to have too often, because this sentence, you all should sail home swiftly, we're already getting the sense that he is urging with that sentence. We don't need to state it again. So this is an instance where I could just say, he said. That actually makes the writing a little bit cleaner, because readers tend to expect the word said most often, which actually makes it easier for them to read it. So that's just a sampling of some of the reports that we have here in ProWritingAid. Let's get into some of the AI features. So we've kind of covered some of them. If you select any sentence here, you can have this option to rephrase it. So you just click on that and it'll bring up this menu where it shows you if you want to rephrase it for standard, fluency, formal, informal, all of these things. And you could select all of these different rephrase options that it gives you. This is an AI feature to give you these options. And sometimes it's not something you might want to use, but sometimes it can give you some good options. You can also access the rephrase here in the top bar. And this can be actually a little bit too much because every sentence can be rephrased. So I actually don't use it in this particular context because look, it's highlighting literally every sentence. So we could go to each sentence and get the suggested rephrases. So that's just a little bit of a messy way of doing things there. I'm not really a huge fan of that interface, but if you just go, find a sentence you want to rephrase, that's definitely a useful feature there. All right. And then there's also sparks. So if you highlight a sentence, you get the rephrase over here, and then you get sparks. And you only get a couple of sparks per day based on the plan that you have, but these can actually be super powerful AI forms of editing if you want to do things like summarize. So if you have a whole giant paragraph and you want to summarize it in a little bit more of a succinct manner, you can do that. That's useful for some academic purposes. You can make it first person, make it third person, past tense, present tense, because that's one of the things that authors often have a hard time is staying in the right tense the whole way through. It's not something that you think would be an issue, but it often is. So when you can identify those issues, you can just fix it with one of these. So let's say we wanted to make it present tense, right? Because this is a past tense sentence. I could just say, make it present tense. And it switched it to he has to do something, anything to help. And that is present tense right there. And so I could say replace, or I could say try again. If it didn't do it really well, I could just copy it and do something with it there. I'll just say replace, and there it is. So I actually don't want it to be that. So I'm just going to replace it there with what we had. Additionally, we could do a spark where we come over here and there's options for continuing to write. So you can ask it to just normal continue writing. We can ask it to add action, dialogue, emotional detail, sensory detail. This is a great way to, if you have a moment where maybe you're not describing things well enough, you can ask it to add more sensory detail. You can ask it to create an analogy based on what you've just had, emphasize and make a joke, add a quote. There's lots of different options here that can be useful in various situations. For instance, let's just go ahead and click this one that says dialogue. And it will create some dialogue that we could insert here based on the context that it has. I didn't give it very much in my selection, so the context it had wasn't great, but we could just copy that and then go into the text and paste it and then work with it from there. It's not necessarily the best feature, and because this is more of an editing type tool, I prefer it for editing, but it does have some cool little features to help you get unstuck if you are trying to figure out, maybe there's a good quote that should go here, or let's add some dialogue in here. It can be helpful in that regard. The only thing I don't really like is that with the premium plan, you only get 5 of those sparks, which isn't a whole lot. The premium plan is what I have, and I think that what I just did there was the last one that I have used up for the day. So once you've used up your 5, then you're out of luck. Another great feature here is the critique feature. So we can come here and get a critique. And it actually isn't letting me do the critique right now because I already did one today, and I only get 1 per day. And one thing that I am not so certain about is that the critique that I did earlier today when I was testing for this video, I can't actually find it right now. I'm not sure if it was actually stored anywhere, which is a little upsetting for me. Maybe I'm wrong and it is somewhere and I'm just missing something, but the fact that it's not obvious right now where that critique is a little concerning to me. It's just another one of those slight interface issues that this tool has. If I were to give one overall critique of ProWritingAid I don't like, is that a lot of the UI and everything, the interaction, is a little bit messy. That said, I'm not discounting the quality of the tool itself. It does do quite a lot of good things that I really like. And there's one thing that really sets ProWritingAid above a lot of the competition, and that is some of the apps and integrations. So let's talk about that right now. You'll see down here in the bottom left, it says work wherever you write, run reports directly in your favorite apps. And here we have images of Word, of Scrivener, of Google Docs, of Notion, and of Google Chrome. So you can add a Chrome plugin to Chrome. I'm using Chrome right now, and I have the Chrome plugin installed right here. You can also download ProWritingAid for desktop, and when you have the desktop app installed, you can use it in Scrivener, you can use it in Microsoft Word, however you like to use it. And this is honestly the big game changer for me, is being able to use this tool outside of ProWritingAid's own closed system that we're looking at right now. The closed system is good, but I actually find it to be a little clunky, like I said, just a little bit messy. And so I actually use ProWritingAid a lot more outside of ProWritingAid's own system, and I'll show you what that looks like. My writing and formatting tool of choice is Atticus, and so if I come here into Atticus, I can integrate ProWritingAid directly into Atticus by using the Chrome plugin. So over here at the top, I have the Chrome plugin installed, and over here on the side, you will see this little thing right here, which gives me access to a lot of those same tools that we just used. There are only a few tools that only can be used inside of ProWritingAid's own internal system, and that includes the style analysis that I just wasn't able to actually get just now, as well as 1 or 2 other things. But most of the reports and the things that we actually want to look at are available just through the Chrome plugin. So you'll see it's already highlighting most of the different things that I would want to change. So we have these yellow ones with this blue one here. We have a purple one here. All of these are just highlighted through the plugin itself. But also, if you want, you can come over here and say open all suggestions, and it has this same pop-up that you would get inside of ProWritingAid's own system, which gives you a score. And I could say, okay, yeah, my grammar and spelling needs to be improved for this chapter, so I'll work on that until I can get it here inside of this threshold here. But I can see like, oh, my style guide's good, my sentence length is good, readability's good. Glue index could use some work, so I can, work to bring those sentences down and so forth. Additionally, if you click on this one right here, you can say run report for in-depth text analysis. So you can run each of these individual reports that we just saw on the top bar of ProWritingAid's own system. For instance, here we've got the same dialogue and pacing and sensory things that you can do for fiction. You've got the same core options right here: grammar, rephrase, thesaurus, overused words, combo, etc. You can see the summary tool and the critique tool have to be done inside of ProWritingAid's own system. So that's why it has this little icon right here saying we need to go out to ProWritingAid to do that. But the rest of these are all available here inside of the plugin. Another important thing that you can do here is go here to the settings, and you can disable this if it's getting in the way and you just don't want to worry about it. You can disable it temporarily. You can also hide the underlines for distraction-free writing if you need to. Another important thing to make sure you do is up here in this top one, you select that and make sure you've selected the correct type of writing. So right now it's selected as general, and I want to change it to fiction. So we can say general fiction or fantasy in this case. And now it's going to adjust its suggestions based on that. So all in all, most of the same features are all available here inside of Chrome. And because I write exclusively pretty much in Atticus or sometimes in Google Docs, I don't usually use the desktop app, but you can use the desktop app in the same way for Word documents, for Scrivener documents, if you want to work offline, which is a really handy feature because a lot of authors do not like to do all of their writing when they're connected to the internet. It's nice to be able to unconnect from the internet and do your writing there. And so having that desktop desktop app is a really useful feature. And actually, this is one of the biggest things that sets ProWritingAid apart for me, is not just the great suggestions that it gives me, because it does have quite a lot of good suggestions, but I can use it in pretty much any writing scenario that I can think of. Offline, online, in Atticus, in Google Docs, in Word. And the only time that I really need to go into ProWritingAid's own closed system is if I need to run some of those summary checks and the chapter critiques and stuff like that, which uses AI in specific ways. So the bottom line here is that while I think there are aspects of ProWritingAid that are a little messy, I do think it is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, grammar and spelling checker that you can get right now. I think some of the AI features leave a little bit to be desired, but I don't really use it for those AI features because I use it primarily for the spelling and grammar, which in their way is a different type of AI. It's not a generative AI, but it is a type of AI system as it learns more about what makes a good sentence structure and all of that. So if you want to improve the readability and grammar of your book, ProWritingAid is 100% where I would go. I do have a link down below. It is an affiliate link, but as always, I only suggest affiliates that I personally use. And I know many of you are probably asking, how does this compare to other tools like AutoCrit or Grammarly? And I am going to have more videos coming out soon comparing ProWritingAid to those tools. But all I can say is that for now, I'd say ProWritingAid is the best tool for grammar and spelling type issues specifically. AutoCrit is kind of a different thing, and it has other uses that I really like. And again, I will do a full comparison of that in the near future, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. Anyway, I hope this review was helpful. If you want to know more reviews like this, I have a couple of videos that I've made on various AI tools and which one is best. I would start with the one I created about Novel Crafter recently, which is a AI writing software tool that I highly recommend. So go check that out, and I will see you in the next video.